It's Thursday, January 17th. The government has said it will implement quotas for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes and economically weaker sections in private educational institutions from the academic year that starts this July. This means 60% of seats in all educational institutions will be reserved. An estimated 40,000 colleges and 900 universities will be covered under this, Education Minister Prakash Javadekar confirmed. We will create additional seats. Quota will be implemented in all courses, technical, non-technical, management, arts, science and commerce. Orders for this will be issued in a week, the minister said. Now, the Constitution 93rd Amendment Act 2005 had inserted Clause 5 in Article 15, enabling the state to make special provisions for members of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and socially and educationally backward classes for admission to all educational institutions, including private unaided institutions, but except minority institution. So, the provision for quota in private education exists, but this needs to be enabled through a separate legislation. The government could reportedly bring a bill to enable reservation in private and unaided educational institutions in the budget session of Parliament. Reacting to the Delhi police charge sheet against JNU Student Union leader Kanojia Kumar and others, Congress MP and former Law Minister Kapil Sibal has said the government was misusing the sedition law to muzzle citizens who speak against it. He called for doing away with the colonial era law.
मैं समझता हूँ कि इस कानून की आज के दिन कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. ये तो केवल धमकी की बात है और किसी को ऐसे फंसाना ताकि वो आगे न प्रचार कर सके ना सरकार के विरुद्ध कुछ बोल सके. और ये सेडिशन के केस कई लोगों पे लगा दिए हैं जो सरकार के खिलाफ ट्वीट करते हैं या फेसबुक पे कुछ कहते हैं. मणिपुर में हो या कहीं और हो, गुजरात में हो, दिल्ली में, कहीं और जगह भी. तो मैं समझता हूँ कि ये एक आज भी जनता को गुलाम रखने के लिए ये सेडिशन लॉ का दुरुपयोग हो रहा है.
Twitter was quick to remind Sibal of the many times Congress governments have used the very sedition law that he now wants scrapped. Notwithstanding the Congress's hypocrisy, the case for scrapping Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code has been made multiple times in the past, including by the Law Commission. In its last report, the Commission held that, for merely expressing a thought that is not in consonance with the policy of the government of the day, a person should not be charged under sedition. In a stout defense of the right to criticize the government and the right to offend, the Law Commission, the government's top advisory body on legal reform, called for a rethink on the much-abused sedition law. Here's what Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code, a law seen as putting the shackles on the constitutionally guaranteed right to free speech, says. Whoever by words brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt, or excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government established by law in India, shall be punished with a maximum of life imprisonment. A perusal of National Crime Records Bureau data shows that in cases of sedition, the police take very long to file a charge sheet, and the conviction rate in cases that go to court are abysmally low. Senior lawyers say the idea behind filing a case under the section is mostly harassment, and the more time the case takes to reach the courts, the greater the scope for authorities to harass the accused. The Law Commission in its report reminds, the United Kingdom abolished sedition laws 10 years back, citing that the country did not want to be quoted as an example of using such draconian laws. Given the fact that the section itself was introduced by the British to use as a tool to oppress Indians, how far is it justified to retain Section 124A in the Indian Penal Code?
So the noes have it, unlock!
Plunging Britain into a political crisis without a clear path in sight, UK members of Parliament voted to defeat Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal by 230 votes, the largest defeat for a sitting government in modern history, says the BBC. This is the deal negotiated between Prime Minister May and the European Union over nearly 2 years. essentially spelling out the terms of the UK-EU divorce. This includes the financial settlement, the money UK has to give EU, an estimated £39 billion to cover commitments to EU programs the UK made as a member up to 2020. A contentious issue has been what is referred to as Northern Irish backstop, to ensure there will be no return to a hard border or border checks between Britain and the Republic of Ireland, which is part of EU, in order to keep the hard-won 1998 peace accord intact. And then there is the issue of citizens' rights post-Brexit, that of EU citizens living in Britain and British citizens in Europe. Having lost the Brexit deal vote, Prime Minister May now faces a vote of no confidence moved by the opposition.
The government has lost the confidence of this House and this country. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, inform you I have now tabled a motion of no confidence in this government.
As per the BBC, if the motion passes, then it starts a 14-day countdown. If during that time the current government or any other alternative government cannot win a new vote of confidence, then an early general election would be called. So, what happens to Brexit now? It remains unclear, but here are a few scenarios. UK exits the EU as scheduled on March 29th, but without a deal, which would translate into uncertainty about trade deals with EU countries. British expats and EU citizens working in the UK are plunged into uncertainty about their immigration status. Another possible scenario is that the exit date is postponed as a new plan is worked upon. This will require extending the Article 50 process. The other option is to go back to people for another referendum. A petition alleging that Judge Loya, who was presiding over the Sarabuddin Sheikh fake encounter case at the time of his death, died of radioisotope poisoning, was finally heard by the Nagpur bench of the Bombay High Court. Live Law reports that previously 3 judges, Justices S.B. Shukre, S.M. Modak and Swapna Joshi, had refused to hear the matter and recused themselves. The reason for recusal was not recorded, however, all 3 judges were in Nagpur at the time of Judge Loya's death to attend the wedding of Justice Swapna Joshi's daughter. The petitioner, Advocate OK, who claims that the post-mortem report of Judge Loya was tinkered with, has said his plea is that he is seeking all records and documents related to the judge's death. The Supreme Court in April 2018 ruled that Judge Loya died of natural causes. Subsequently, in July, the Apex Court dismissed a petition seeking review of its April decision. Last month, a CBI court acquitted all accused in the Sarabuddin Sheikh fake encounter case, saying the agency had failed to prove conspiracy. The court had earlier discharged 16 accused for want of evidence. It included BJP President Amit Shah, whom the CBI had earlier accused of conspiracy when Shah was Gujarat Home Minister. As many as 92 witnesses had turned hostile in the course of the hearing. And finally, China claims to have grown the first plants on the moon. The South China Morning Post reported that cotton seeds carried by China's Chang'e-4 lunar lander had germinated on the far side of the moon, becoming the first plant shoots to grow there in what mission chief said was laying the foundation for a base on Earth's only natural satellite. The Chang'e-4 lunar touched down on the far side of the moon on the 3rd of this month. Professor Liu Hanglong, head of the experiment, was quoted as saying, "We have given consideration to future survival in space. Learning about these plants' growth in a low-gravity environment would allow us to lay the foundation for our future establishment of space base." Well, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Love your morning fix? Help support our journalism. Subscribe to Scroll Plus using the link in the description.